Hello, James Rizzi artists. How are you doing? We are going to make a symbol today for our James Rizzi building. So we're using construction paper and we're going to talk about different techniques that you can use in your symbols. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to make the thing that I am going to make, but you're going to see how to cut out the inside of a space, how to fold something and draw something so that it is symmetrical on both sides, and how to use things from around your house to make your symbols. So let's go ahead and get started. Here are the supplies that I am going to need for this project today. I may not need the glue right away, but I'll need it later when I glue it onto my building, so that's why it's here for consideration. Let's get everything out of the way for now, except for our pencil, eraser, and the color paper that we want to use. Today, I am going to use a piece of green paper, and I'm gonna be making a peace symbol. So you've probably seen those before. It's a circle, it's got a line, and then kind of like an arrow at the bottom of it as well. How do I start with a circle? Well, find something that's gonna make a circle the size that you want, right? So I found this container of wipes. So what I'm going to do is set that on my paper, and to be smart about it and use my paper wisely, I don't just go right in the middle. I'm gonna go near the edge. So what you're gonna see right here is how this is placed really nice and close to the edge of the paper. That way I'll move this over so you can see lots of space here later that I can utilize for another project. All right, so let's go ahead and get this guy started. What I'm going to do is begin by tracing it with my pencil. So I'll hold it down really well. Okay, let's see how that turned out. All right, I've got my circle. Not too bad. Probably not a perfect circle because I angled my hand a little bit going around, but that's okay. Alrighty, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out that circle, and it's going to give me my template that I'm going to be working with. I will be using this piece of paper, but I need to put my lines and symbols and everything else on it next. So I'm going to show you how to do that and how to cut it out so you don't end up ruining your project. Alrighty. For the next step, I am going to use a straight edge. I do just happen to have a ruler nearby. If you don't have a ruler, that's okay, but you might want to find something like that. Let's come in to focus here so you can really see what's happening. All right, I've got my pencil, my eraser, and my ruler. First thing I want to do is I want to draw the line down the middle, and then I want to draw the arrow that comes up from the bottom. And I want this to be symmetrical on both sides. So the best way to do that is start by folding this in half. So I'm gonna fold this in half. I'm not worried that there's gonna be a fold line. I'm gonna barely just kind of fold it. Okay. Now, it's gonna stay like that. In order to get a nice straight line all the way down the middle, top to bottom, I'm gonna use my ruler. And when I'm drawing a line right here and looking at the thickness of this, whatever thickness I have right here will be twice as thick when I open this up and unfold it, because you've got this thickness from here to here, and then when you flip it over, it's around the fold to the point where the underneath this ruler would be. So we want to think about how thick we want that line. Twice as thick as that is kind of thick. So I'm gonna go in a little bit. I'm not really measuring with my ruler, I'm just using the straight edge, and I'm making sure I have the same amount of green paper from the edge to the ruler, and I'm just using it visually. Okay, since this can be the back of my work later, I'm just gonna go top to bottom, just like that. I've got my line. So the next thing I'm gonna do is put in the diagonal line that is going to go right here. It has to be twice as thick as this right here. because this doesn't have a fold in it. So I'm gonna start right here at the middle point. And if you ever wanted to find the middle point, there's two ways to do it. The first way is you could measure it. So I could measure it and say, oh, it's roughly 5 and say 2.5 is the middle point. Or you could fold it again and then put a little pinch right there. And then that's your middle point. So I'm going to put a little mark where that pinch is. Now I know that's the middle. And I'm going to start, not necessarily right there, but I'm going to start where the middle comes across to my line. Okay. Thinking about the angle I want. I go down. Now remember, this line that I make right here, this next one, is twice as thick as this. So I could measure it if I wanted to. Let's see, it's about 1/4 of an inch. That means this has to be 1/2 of an inch. I doubled it, 1/4 plus 1/4, of course. Alrighty. Let's make that line. Normally, if I was wanting to this to be really exact, I'd make a mark and another mark and another mark of all the places at the 1/2 inches so I could connect a few marks together. That's okay, we don't need to be so exact. All right, now if I cut this out right now, I would have just the lines. There would be no circle because the circle part would fall off. So I've got to create an exterior. And what you want to do is stick to your measurement. So what you could do is do a little mark. If you wanted to do that, I'm going to do a little 1/2 inch mark as a guide. Just add all the way around, just halfway, just so I have something to work with. And I know what I'm aiming for. Make sure you watch for the mark and not the end of the ruler too. Then I use that as a guide. I gotta freehand this, but that's okay. Remember, this is the back. So if you mess this up, it's okay. Don't worry, it's not gonna show up later. All right. I wanna keep this part, so I'm gonna put a star there. I want to keep this part. I want to keep this part. I want to keep this. So what am I cutting out here? I'm cutting out this part and I'm cutting out this part. Okay. Can you cut through both the top and the bottom at the same time when you're cutting out an inside part? It's really hard to do. So I'm going to show you how to work around that. So here we go. First, I unfold it. Now, I want to cut out this shape. So I'm going to put, aiming for the middle right here, I put a bend right there. And I am going to put a snip. Now, I can get my scissors in there. And I can cut all along my line. Remember, be careful. When you get to something, stop. And before you cut any further, think about it. Do you want to cut that? If I kept going, I would cut off my line. I don't want to do that. I just want this to be an interior space. So, keep going. All right, I got one done. Now I get to do this little one right here. If for some reason you cut through something that you didn't mean to, just leave it alone. Don't redo it. Don't get frustrated. When you glue this onto your big building later, you can just glue the two parts right next to each other. And if you're adding things to it, put something over that mark, like where they meet, if that really bothers you. and then no one will ever know that those got cut apart. Okay, so I've got half of a peace symbol, right? What about the other side? There's no lines there. Not yet. What I'm going to do is use my lines as tracers. So, find my pencil, hold this very securely, use my fingers to press down very close to where I am drawing. And that way it holds the paper down and you get in a very exact line, exactly where you want to be. Okay. And now, see that? I can go ahead and cut that out. Now this will be the front. I might need to erase a little bit later, so I could do that. Another way I could have done this is I could have folded this way and drawn the lines here, and then the pencil lines would have ended up on this side right by these. That's fine too. So absolutely however you want to do it. Okay, so let's cut these out. And then you're gonna have your symbol. So that's pretty much it.